Hello, I'm Hickey from interest.co.nz and welcome to a special economic weather report brought to you in association with BNZ. Today we're going to have a look at the need for tax reform, particularly around income tax, and the scale of the issue facing the New Zealand economy in the next few years, particularly as the Australian economy picks up and many of those highly skilled people in our labour force look to move overseas. Why did the tax working group come out and say that the system was broken and is unfair? Well, let's look at the number of people paying the top tax rate, that 38 cents in the dollar rate. When it was first introduced, the top rate, less than 5% of people were on that rate. Because of what's called fiscal drag, that's where the threshold doesn't change and therefore as wages rise more people have to pay that higher rate, that number is now 9% paying the top rate. In 20 years, if there's no change, 25% of the population will be on that top rate. And so a lot of people have gone out of their way to avoid paying it. They've set up family trusts or LAQCs and invested in rental property to reduce their income and therefore not have to pay that 38-cent tax rate. And what we've seen in the last 7 or 8 years is a quintupling of income reported by family trustees. And income reported, or in fact losses reported by LAQCs, loss attributing qualifying companies, has more than tripled to over $2 billion in the last 5 years. We now have over $213 billion invested in rental property in New Zealand, but it actually made in 2008 a $500 million loss. Now that's 4 times the amount of assets in the stock market which are actually in rental property, and they make a combined loss of $500 million. Now that meant that the tax bill was reduced by up to $200 million. Now what does that mean? Well, that means the growing needs of the state, particularly with healthcare and education, healthcare in particular and pensions as the population ages, that load is going to fall increasingly on income taxes, particularly personal income taxes and corporate income taxes. New Zealand needs a broader income base, and the income base that we do have needs to be seen to be fairer. Because right now, because of the changes we've seen with working for families and various other benefits, the 10%, the top 10% who are paying PAYE tax currently pay a net 76% of the tax bill. That means that a good chunk of the population have decided to opt out of the tax system, or at least the bits they can avoid, and they're doing that. A full 1/2 of the top 100 earning New Zealanders don't even pay the top tax rate. And that's because, effectively, labour is mobile. Unless we have a fairer, simpler tax system which avoids the sorts of avoidance that we've seen, people will go. And that means we need to broaden the tax system to include immobile assets like land. And that's why the Tax Working Group proposed a land tax. I'm Hickey, talking about the need for tax reform in an economic weather report brought to you in association with BNZ.